year in, year out, because of these deposits from the African countries, France is taking out of Africa over $500 billion. Now figure it out.
That was Dr. Arikana Chihombori, former AU ambassador to the USA. She actually got fired from her job by Africans because she was speaking against France for taking advantage of African countries. I mean, I know, it's crazy. Each time I think about what happened to Dr. Arikana, the only thing that comes to my mind are the words of Benjamin Burumbo. He said, "Each time I try to fight for African rights, I only use one hand because the other hand is busy trying to keep away Africans who are trying to fight me." Well, just in case you didn't know,
one other thing that France did between 1958 and 1961 in the name of giving us our independence as African countries, France forced the Francophone, and I hate that terminology. There is no such thing as Francophone, Anglophone. They made it up. But for the purposes of communication, I will use that. 14 of those countries, they said, in order for you to get your independence from us, you must sign this document. The document was called the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization.
Now, one of the highlights of this pact is that
France said, we're going to demand that you deposit 85% of your bank reserves under the French Central Bank, under the control of the French Minister of Finance. France is then going to take your 85% bank deposits from each and every one of you, deposit those funds in the French stock market under the French name, and you may or may not know the returns.
Not just that, whenever these countries discover any new natural resources, France must have the first say. I mean, I understand it's, as a 21st century African, I cannot simply understand that kind of arrangement. You came into my country to colonize me, and when it's time for you to leave, you give me conditions. I mean, it's funny and sad at the same time. Today, those countries are in poverty, and they refer to African countries as poor countries. You know, it's funny because without African countries, many world powers, so-called world powers, will become a third world. That's the truth, that's the fact. Honestly, when Dr. Arikana was fired, I expected to see a large movement of African women living on the African continent, but I did not see much. We saw some movement online, but that was not enough. And I think it's because most African women don't know their place in the African society. Because of religion and some newer cultures, they are seen as an afterthought of creation. They have been relegated to the back seat. They are seen as only good for the bedroom and the kitchen. That's not correct. Historically, African women stood for what was right. They defended their integrity. They defended their land against invaders. Take, for example, Queen Amanirenas of Kush, who fought against the Roman Empire for 5 years and led thousands of men to victory. Another example is Queen Ndante Yala of Wolof, Senegal, who stood against French colonial expansion in her land. Even though she was defeated when the French sent 15,000 troops to subdue her, these were her final words.
Today we are invaded by the conquerors. Our army is completely routed. The Tiedo of Wallo, valiant warriors though they are, have almost all fallen to the bullet of the enemy. The invader is stronger than we are, I know, but should we abandon Wallo to the hands of foreigners?
Dear black woman, most African countries has been in the Cold War since independence, and I'm fully convinced that if African women were fully involved in the struggle, Africa stands a better chance of winning. It's time to connect with the fighting spirit of your ancestors. It is time to teach our children less religious dogmas and raise them in the consciousness of our struggle. And this is the best time to be alive. For the first time in my life, I am seeing a great African woman speaking fearlessly for Africa on the global scene. The least we can do is to give her our support, whether seminars, workshops, or rallies, whatever we can do. And remember this, in whatever you do, never think that you're going to sit around and get handed freedom on a gold platter. Freedom is never given, it is demanded and taken. That is how the world works.